Hello and good morning, everyone, to whatever we call the show, Oklahoma Daily Animal News, something like that. Today on the news, we are talking about hay. Hey. We are going to discuss the ever consistent argument that we hear time and time again that makes us beat our head against the wall of the classic cowboy walking into our store and telling us that he can find this same hay for $5 a bale back home wherever he's from. This is a argument and a comment that we get nonstop because we are definitely very heavy into the hay industry at our stores. The article that I read was actually about a livestock feeding operation, and this feeding operation, the guy was going down through here and talking about how the hay that he buys is an ever-changing thing. And I think that that's what a lot of people don't understand. So in the article, he says that there's many technology platforms where you can evaluate your opportunity costs and you can evaluate your costs. But due to scenarios, due to management and marketing changes, these are hard to anticipate. So what he's talking about is how hay is hard to anticipate, and there's several reasons why the price of hay is hard to anticipate. The first reason why hay is hard to anticipate, and that I think that he's talking about primarily, is the fact that the market for hay is a commodity. Hay is a commodity. So commodity prices are driven by supply and demand. So when there is a large supply, there's not as much demand, and that is a basic economics lesson 101. So the first thing that we have to consider is, what is the market for this area? It's a very localized thing. What is the market for this area? And then it goes out from there. What is the market in the nation? Is there other things? Primarily, a lot of our hay comes from the Arizona area because people with horses are concerned about blister beetles in Oklahoma. A lot of our hay is shipped in from Arizona and California. And what a lot of people don't understand is that actually they are putting a majority of their hay from Arizona and California is put into a storage shipping container and exported overseas. So this is a global supply and demand at this point with some of the places that we buy hay from. That is number one. So supply and demand is the one thing that drives the price of hay primarily. What a lot of people don't understand, though, after that is that hay, the price of hay, is so much determined on looks, it's determined on nutrition content, it's determined on the freight, so where it came from, and it's determined on the size of the bale. So first off, let's address the looks. If a crop of hay looks good, people will tend to charge a little bit more for it. That is the farm. So the farm will charge a little bit more from it. Secondly, if it is nutritious or not, people will charge a little bit more for it. If it is coming from a long ways away, if you have to ship it here, a lot of our hay is charged roughly $5 to $8 per bale to get here from California. So if the price of diesel goes up, that can dramatically increase the price of the hay. And finally, the size of the bale. I think a lot of people don't think about that. The size of the bale, and I did a video recently talking about how the bigger the bale, the cheaper it is per pound. Because when you have a smaller bale, it takes more labor to get that bale to its end user. So more labor means more money. You're having to pay more employees to stack that hay or whatever it is at the farm and in the field and things like that, instead of a tractor just picking everything up. This is the point I want to make when it comes to hay, though. I can get the same hay for X number of dollars at wherever I buy it from. Has no relative standing in any situation, because hay is going to be, unless you can take all four of those things, unless you can take the looks of the hay, unless you can take a nutrition test, unless you can take the freight of where it came from, and unless you can take the, I forgot what the size of the bale is, all perfectly equivalent, and then break that down, You cannot say that this is the same hay that I bought in such and such because you call it the same thing. A 2-strand bale of alfalfa is not the same in Oklahoma City as it is even 12 miles away. It can be totally different. And so that argument is null and void every time you try to make it because, hey, similar to fruit, I think about fruit. You can buy fruit at Dollar General or Family Dollar or whatever, and it can be cheaper than buying it from a farmer's market, or maybe it's cheaper than buying it at Whole Foods or Natural Grocers or wherever it might be. But you cannot say that an orange or an apple brought from Whole Foods or Natural Grocers is the exact same thing as Dollar General. You can't say this orange is the same orange as this. It can be shipped in from Cuba. This one can be shipped in from Florida. This one can be shipped in from California. So first off, there's differences there. Second off, you might have ran into this before. You bought a whole bag of grapes and 90% of them tasted terrible. There's differences in nutrition based on where you buy things. And I'm not saying that Whole Foods is always better than Family Dollar. I'm not saying that buying from a farmer or buying from a feed store is always cheaper than buying from a farmer. That's beside the point. The point is that when you buy a bale of hay, you cannot only say that this is $60 and this is $55, so this one's cheaper. You have to look at the nutrition. You have to look at so many different things, where it came from. And that's a huge deal on alfalfa. Where it came from is a big part of where you price that bale of hay with alfalfa. A lot of people don't like to feed hay from alfalfa from Oklahoma. There is a little bit higher probability of blister beetles in alfalfa hay from Oklahoma, so a lot of people like to buy it from out of state. You cannot say this bale of alfalfa from here and this bale of alfalfa from here this one's way more expensive. Well, if it's shipped in from California, of course, but people pay a premium for certain things, and that is all relative on the person of what they are willing to pay a premium on. So, if you are going to start shopping for hay soon. It is April the 9th. If you're going to start looking for and shopping for hay soon, I think that now is the time to wrap your mind around the fact of getting your hay tested. Now is the time to wrap your mind around the fact of if there's weeds in the hay, if you can see a bunch of weeds in the hay, if there's big stems in the hay, you can say that that hay is not quite as nutritious as something else. So maybe I should pay $2 more a bale for the stuff that looks a little bit better because it might be a little more nutritious. And I wish that everyone, as they are going to start looking for hay now, would start doing that, that you would compare apples to apples, pun intended, that you would look at bales with a objective personality, that you would look at it with objective in mind, that you are going to compare these equally, that you are not going to say this bale and this bale is the same thing, this one's cheaper. I think you need to take those 4 things into consideration when you are shopping for hay here coming up soon. Thank you for watching Oklahoma News Daily, Animal News. Dang it, I can't get the name down. Thank you for watching this show, and I hope that this helped you when you are going to start shopping for hay very, very soon.